Good afternoon, my loves. Good afternoon, my loves. How are you doing today? I am so excited. It is sunny and not as cold as it has been. So it helps me with my mood. Also, I've been going through a little bit of sickness here, but I'm much better now, much better today. And you have no idea. I woke up this morning and the day before, I literally had to take a lot of naps and rest, and my head was full of water and lots of fog and unclarity. And this morning, and I've been doing a lot of juicing and a lot of resting, and this morning I am feeling much better. And I'm just like, I woke up with a sense of clarity, like there's no fog anymore. And I was like, fuck yes! I'm like, I could not be more blessed to to not have that fog. It's like day and night. For me, this is crucial. For me, this is the deal breaker, whether I can perform during the day, or I can simply just like, oh, I can't even think straight, right? So to me, this was crucial. To me, this was super exciting to wake up and feel feel the freshness of clarity and understanding. And I was like, I can work today, and I celebrated. And if you know me, I am a little bit of a workaholic, but what I do like to do is combine and balance my workflow with a little bit of rest and connecting to nature and things like that. But sometimes you would find me working in the evening and working in the morning. And so anyway, I'm excited to feel like I'm back on track here. So in the midst of my little rest episode, I turned on the Bachelor show, right? And I love those kind of shows that just like, I'm sorry, you girls, but I love myself some drama, as long as it's not my own drama. I hate drama when it happens in my life. I'm so strict. Like, I have these very strict boundaries around drama or allowing any drama in my life. But watching someone else's drama on television is another thing. So please forgive me. I know you do the same thing. I know you love watching other people's drama. So there's episodes to it, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, as I was watching The Bachelor, I have realized so many things. So first of all, those girls are in their 20s and they're young, and all of them are looking for love. And the Bachelor himself is young too, right? Like, knock on wood, like, why do I feel so old? Anyway, like, I'm only 10 years older. But I feel like I lived a lifetime. Ahead, right? So as I'm watching The Bachelor and I'm observing how these girls are behaving and what they're saying and what they're looking for as far as finding love and finding partner, and I'm starting noticing a pattern. And I'm starting noticing a pattern where the girls are really they're looking to connect their own sense of happiness with the specific person, aka the Bachelor, right? They are coming into this with the perspective of hey, if you choose me, I'll be happy, right? It's very conditional. And we as human beings, it is normal for us to be conditional like that. It is very normal for us to get into a habit: when I get this, I'll be happy, or when I achieve this, only then I'll be happy. Instead of the true way of alignment is being happy and then I'll get this, right? being happy, and then love comes to me, being happy and completely fulfilled within myself, and then I'll be open for love, just simply, and I will be so magnetic and so attractive simply because I am within my own radiance. I am within my own flow. I don't need another person to make me happy because I already am. I am, and therefore I receive, right? And so the difference with the show is that all these girls are coming from a perspective, oh, I struggled, or I did this and I was unhappy, and I had tons of relationships that didn't work out, and I'm still looking to find happiness, which is fine. However, a lot of these girls are going through the motions and really connecting. I understand it's a show, and I understand it's a game too, in the sense that, they're competing for the same guy, right? But they're so deeply connecting with the fact that if I get him, then I'll be happy, right? And that is contradictory to the way the laws work of the universe, right? You cannot you cannot, like, you will get what you want so much quicker if you decide in this moment to be happy as you are, and live in this fantasy realm that it hasn't happened yet, but I'm already living in that world, right? And therefore, I am emitting the energy that is about this world that I'm living, even though I'm living not in a physical sense just yet, but it is already in the energetic sense already, right? And when you transition your way of thinking into that category, into that world, living into the fantasy world is what I call it, that is when you not only you find fulfillment, you don't need another person to fill in the gap, you don't need someone else to come and save you, because you are doing this for yourself. That was the biggest element for me. My entire life, for probably about 10 years, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for someone to come in and fill in the gap and save me. And that never happened. That never happened because I didn't give myself power. And only when I decided I don't need anyone to save me because I'm going to save myself, only when that decision happened, that is when my life started changing. I do want to bring that as a very important point here. And so in the show Bachelor, all these girls are waiting for this Prince Charming to come in and save them, right? And especially to make the show so awesome and so amazing, they make the guy look so much better than he really is. Like, they would arrange these dates on private islands and helicopter rides and fireworks and like going to expensive malls and buying all these designer clothes as if he has money to pay for it. He doesn't have money, his show has money, right? So they are creating this almost unrealistic expectations for the girls, and between what a magical happy life. So these girls are falling in love with this ideal version that's not even real. That's not even real. They're falling in love with that version. And no wonder when, so many shows don't survive the reality check once the camera stops rolling. So many of these couples don't survive. Only, like, there were how many, 26 shows, and I honestly don't know the statistics, I might be wrong, but like, I know of 3 couples that actually ended up marrying and having kids and is still together. The rest are not. So it's really we really need to understand there is a difference between the projection that you believe in and the reality that you still need to maintain. And if you maintain that fantasy element inside of your reality, you're not falling into the trap of failing relationships. You are not falling into that trap of failing relationship. And that is what happens in majority of our relationship. Think about how a relationship starts. It starts with this projection of, this person is amazing, this person gives me butterflies, this person is so perfect, and he's this and he's that. And in the beginning, we only see the idealistic qualities of the partner that we want to see in them. We only see the good things because we want to see the good things in our partner. And as time goes on, we start learning the not so perfect qualities of our partner, and we start falling into the trap. Oh, maybe he's not so perfect, and actually, I'm not exactly happy about this side of him, or I'm not exactly like, he's not matching up what I thought he would be, or he's not treating me, how I want to be treated, and so many other things, and we start falling out of that ideal projection. That is what falling in love is. Ideal projection of that person that we want him to be. We want him to match up that ideal standard of a relationship or of a man, within our, like, this is our own dream, or this is our own like sense of reality that we are creating for ourselves that may not be completely true. And so many relationships fail at the initial phase because we don't learn to accept the person for the imperfections as well. And everyone has imperfections. That's just, nobody's perfect. So we need to be still loving that person, even though the person is not perfect. And so many of us fall out of that falling in love stage, butterfly stage, honeymoon stage, whatever you call it, rather quickly, because we start noticing the things that we are not liking about the person. Because at first we are noticing all the things we like about the person, and then we fall into the trap of starting to notice other things that we are not so crazy about, right? And the more we are together, the more we emphasize that you're not perfect, you're not this, you are not exactly what I thought I want, like I wanted you to be, you are not matching that ideal image that I had of you, right? And that is when we start falling, like, and that is when reality check happens, right? And we start falling out of love with the person to the point where relationship fails altogether in the end, right? And in order to preserve that kind of relationship in the beginning and in the long term in marriage, you maintain that separation and separateness within yourself. You still are a separate person, and you're accepting the other person for who they are, and learn to still appreciate the things that you initially appreciated about them, and make them bigger than all the imperfections, right? Focus on the good things about your partner versus imperfections. And on top of that, live and still create that element of this imaginary world where you are living versus the real world, right? People who are living in the real world are the ones who are depressed, and they feel upset, and they focusing on all the negative things, and that's what we call the real world, because the real world cannot always be happy. Well, it can if you make it. If you only focus, if you are living the life of like what you're focusing on. If you're only focusing on the negative things, your life's gonna consist of negative emotions, and your quality of life will be in the negative, right? But if you are focusing on the positive, then your life's gonna consist of positive emotions, and you're gonna experience positive feelings, and your life will be much more enjoyable, much more pleasurable. It's really your mind. Your mind is everything. It is responsible for the life you are creating and designing for yourself. It's not the real world or the fantasy world. It's what it is that you create within your own mind, and what kind of what kind of world are you living in. And you have the entire power to live in absolutely amazing world. You have the entire power to use the power of your imagination and daydreaming to create this fantasy element that you can live out within the real world. Because what we are programmed to think is that there's the real world that consists of life problems and negative emotions, and so we call that a real world, where the fantasy world is this imaginary world that's not even real. And we are trained to think that whatever the fantasy world, it's not valid. While your brain does not have any separation between the real world or the fantasy world, your brain experiences emotions and life exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether it's the real world or the fantasy world, right? And that is exactly what I coach within the Lovegodesss program, is how do you create that fantasy world, and how do you use the power of your imagination and your archetype of your own love goddess that you end up uncovering going through the program, so you can live within your own fantasy world, and your relationship can be blooming and can be absolutely amazing, and you can create whatever you think you don't have right now. um, First, it's going to be in this energetic form, and then it's going to turn into a life, into a physical world, because what we create with our thoughts materializes if we put enough attention and focus, and if we live in that state of reality. It actually comes to us. That's how easy that is. That's how easy that is. So another thing I want to really bring your attention to is this romantic phase, right? It is so it's so kind of beautiful that we like when our romantic relationship starts, and like watching these girls kind of like develop connection with the Bachelor. It's kind of like almost like very childish, and like, I don't know, it's so pure, and it's kind of beautiful. Like, wow, like they have the love, right? They have the love, they have the connection, they have the chemistry. And then, but then, how do you maintain that chemistry throughout the process, right? Or what happens if you don't develop that chemistry with the person? Then what is that real love? And there are some girls that, while they are on camera talking like, oh, I want a best friend to be with me, like who are you looking for in life? Like, who are you looking in your husband, right? What do you really want? And some girls would say, oh, I just want to be, I want to have a partner who is my best friend so we can do things together. Well, that is exactly what's happening. That is exactly what's happening in most marriages. Okay, you get a friend. That if your projection, if your only goal in marriage to acquire a friend, that's all you're getting, a friend. Do you want the sexual charge within a relationship? And I know the answer is yes, but you are focusing on having a friend, and that's what most of you end up having, a friend. Or later on, it turns into a roommate, right? And some couples sleep in separate rooms. Like, is that what you want? Is that what you want? So maybe you don't want a friend, and maybe you should modify your plans initially, right? You want to modify your plans initially, because what you are going for, you're going to receive. If you want to receive a friend, that's all you're going to have, right? So why don't you, instead of a friend, intend to receive a partner who is like giving you butterflies throughout the entire course of the relationship, right? Who is filling your day up with sexual charge, not just a friend. You don't want a friend, right? So think about that. Think about your current relationship. Are you just friends? Or are you roommates? Or are you still filling each other with butterflies every single day? Do you still have that connection and chemistry? Intimacy is one thing, but chemistry is another, right? I can be intimate with my partner, but that's not a sexual, like intimacy is not, intimacy is emotional connection, deep emotional connection, right? But sexual desire actually is different from intimacy. You want to have both. So intimacy is when you're so attracted, like you are becoming one, right? We in the beginning of relationship, we're like going, like it's like two comets are coming together so they could like, we are very attracted. But what happens when we become one, we require that air to breathe, when we require separation. So relationship is like that. At first we're getting to know each other and we want to like almost embody each other. We want to interlace each other. That's what intimacy is. But in a long term, it's suffocating, and that is why some couples start to falling apart, because there's no room anymore, and the novelty has disappeared. So you really want to create more separation again, right? And that is only being created with sexual desire, sexual spark. But sexual desire and spark requires that level of separation, and like identifying, I'm a separate person, I have my own interest in my own life, and I'm a separate person, I have my own interest in my own life, yet together we're still together, we are still connected, and the most important part, we are choosing each other. Despite the freedom of choice that we have as separate beings, we are choosing to be together, and we are choosing each other, and we keep choosing day after day after day after day, right? And that is what's sexy, and that is what's creating that desire, and that is what is needed in most relationship. The separation, that separateness element, that element of you being a completely independent person, right? And that is when you are a completely independent person, you keep choosing each other over and over and over and over. And the only time you choose each other is if you believe in that fantasy aspect of the relationship, of seeing the goodness in another person, seeing all the good stuff, not all the bad stuff. You know what I mean? So seeing all the other person for the amazing qualities, because we have both. We have negative, we have positive qualities, and no one is perfect. But seeing the other person, even in the course of a long-term relationship, for the beauty and the good qualities that they have within themselves, is what's holding it together. And like that, creating that whole fantasy element is crucial for that relationship not to only last. You don't want to last, like to have a lasting relationship. Like, yes, sure, lasting relationship is important, intimacy is important, separation is important, but where's sexual desire? And that is what's missing in most couples, right? Where's sexual desire? That's the most important thing that's making you go from the friendship level to the couples level, like the sexual connection. You can't have that with another person, right? That is why you are special. That is why you keep choosing each other. So, with that, my loves, I want to leave you with that thought. Let's recap. So, thought number one: You cannot look for perfection or for another person to make you happy, because the only person that makes you happy is you. You have to be happy with your entire life, with who you are, with the world that you're living in, so the other person can walk into this world and be mesmerized. That is how you become magnetic. That is how you become completely attractive to him, to another person, to the world itself, right? So that's thought number one. Thought number two, it is very natural to be going into each other to create that intimacy and connection and like completely interlace with another person until one moment, and like everything is in the universe is contracting and expanding. So there will be a moment in the relationship where you will be contracting and expanding all together, and having that separateness will still that keep that desire, that connection going for you, right? And third yeah, I can't talk anymore. And third thought, that I am, or third takeaway that I am really pointing out to you, is that having that fantasy world, not the real world where we live every day, is extremely crucial to maintain that level of quality of life and relationship that you really want in your life. Otherwise, you're going to spin into only noticing the negativity and only noticing the things that are not perfect. And the quality of your life is just not going to be where you want it to be, within whether you do it yourself or with whether it's in your own relationship. So that fantasy aspect is extremely important, and you want to maintain, the couples in the Bachelor show, they need to maintain that fantasy element after the show too, because when they go to real life, that is when real danger happens, and the life is not perfect anymore. So how do you preserve that? You still maintain that sense of fantasy and sense of like imagination and living in this other realm and other world, and not falling into the real world. And those are my most important things and most important takeaways that I have gathered for you from the show yesterday. I hope it's been helpful. I hope I gave you some inspiration and ideas on how to create this beautiful life for yourself as well. And I also want to bring your attention that we will be kicking off the confidence workshop on February 14th with the self love workshop. So don't forget to register. I have put a link in the captions above this live video. And the only way you're gonna attend is if you do register for this. Just know it's an actual workshop. We'll go through, and by the end of this, you'll feel confident, you'll feel beautiful, you'll get that spark back that you may have lost going through life or having a family. And really, you will be able to reconnect with yourself, with who you are, and really get an understanding of the life that you want to be creating for yourself. Completely free, gonna be actually, we are planning on doing this we will be going into 9 days of this workshop. So prepare to really do work. I only want people who are truly committed to their own transformation. If you are not committed or not wanting to work on yourself, do not register. I only want women who are all in, who are going into this ready to change their life, ready to change their relationship, ready to have a radical change within themselves and their own self-confidence. So more information for you above in the link above. So don't forget to register, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Love you all. Bye.